Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about financial planning, and today we're going to conclude it by looking at our retirement plans, specifically our savings and pensions. Why is it important to save? Are pensions only for old people? Now, first, let me clarify something. Having a pension or even multiple pensions is like liquid gold. Don't let anyone deceive you into thinking otherwise, because all you need is to picture yourself. Yes, do it right now. I'm picturing myself somewhere in the beach, in Barbados or somewhere in Bahamas. Picture your future where you retire, or simply put, when you realize you no longer have the energy or even desire to work as hard or as tirelessly as you currently do. It's biology. We'll all get to that point where we want to just slow down and take life easy and enjoy the spoils of our many years of grueling hard work. But here's the thing. What type of life can you picture when that time comes? Will you have the money to really enjoy yourself and continue living your best life? Now that's where your savings and pensions will come in handy. The more you have stashed away, the better the quality of your life and the quality of the life you will have when you retire. It's simple maths, trust me. But let's stop rambling. Let's hear it directly from a financial planner and trained saver. His name is Uchenna Ede. He has over 10 years of experience working in retail, banking, and pensions management. His expertise includes retirement planning, cash flow management. He's passionate about helping people learn how to plan their finances for retirement. Thank you, Uchenna, for joining us.
Thank you, Fumi. Thank you for
So,
having me on the show.
why is planning for your retirement early important? Please tell us, because I was telling you before the show started how my parents are retired as civil servants, so they get monthly pensions. They have this gratuity that they collect in the bulk sum, and then many people I think many of us younger people just like, oh, when we talk about retirement, it's just for older people. Why is it important for younger people to plan towards their pension?
Thank you, Fumi. I think a lot of things that pictured pension to a lot of young people were the fact that we saw older people queue up in government gates, offices, trying to get pension. I think those are the pictures that came to our young minds when we even hear of pension. When is the best time to start thinking about pension? There is this Chinese adage that said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is now. I think the best time to start thinking about pension would probably be if you are under a paid employment. The very first day you receive your employment letter, very first time you start your career, that is the best time to start thinking about pension. And then if you are in the informal space where you are probably not under any formal employment, you run your own business, I would say the first time you start earning money as an adult, then you need to start thinking of saving for the future. So the best time to think about pension actually is when you are very young, to plan right towards.
Now. So what's the difference? What's the difference between pensions and savings? What's the difference between putting funds away for your retirement and then saving away money?
So I think you already answered that. So why both of them speak to keeping something aside, one might be seen as something you keep aside to use either for the immediate, in the long term, but pension specifically is savings for that time of your life where you are not active. While normal savings can be saving for a certain project, having like what we call an emergency fund. If something happens, there are two basic reasons why people save. You save for investment, or you save for the rainy day, which we call emergency. Retirement is really not emergency per se. So pension is clearly saving for that time where you are not active, where you are not able to, for those of us in Lagos, hit the road by 4 or by 5, to get to the office early. You need to come back and spend an average of 4 hours on traffic every day. That time where you are not able to do all of those things, where the energy is not there, that is where your pension savings comes in.
So break it down for me. So how does the pensions work? This certain percentage. So tell us, what percentage is taken away, and then what happens if, for example, they're taking 10% of my salary, but I want to be putting away 20%, and because there's this thing now that they say to you, you can't come and put in money by yourself. It's your company that will have to
Put in
put in
money
that
for you.
money. So maybe I've made some money, like I have a side hustle, I've cashed out somewhere, and I don't want to just use all this money to maybe buy stock or something. How do I take that money and say, okay, I have to put it away for...
Yeah, so based on regulation from the pension industry, you know, just like you mentioned, you are not expected to bring funds outside of your employment. Okay, and the reason is just to check against money laundering, so that people don't launder money into the pension industry. So basically what you should do, we have quite a number of persons. When I started my career, my pension was nothing to write home in, but I think it was less than 2,000.
Oh, wow.
You know, yes, because salary was, you know, I was small at that time, you know, but because I understood, I had a background, a very humble background, and there are certain things I didn't want to see when I retire, you know. So I told my employer, this amount is not going to do me any good, you know, can you take an extra 5,000? That was almost about 9-10 years ago, you know, add to what I'm contributing, and we call that additional voluntary contribution in the pension industry. Okay, you can do that. So now, in a case where I think I have some other side hustle, over the years, I've been doing some side hustle like lecturing and all of that, and those things have been giving me money. So basically what I do, assuming that, you know, I make an extra 20,000 from those side hustle, and I really want to channel that into my retirement, all I need to do is tell my employer to take out 20,000 from my salary, and I get it back from those side hustle. But because it has to come from my paycheck, you get. So that is just how it is. You can't bring something from outside your paycheck into your pension, into the pension space.
Cool. What about companies that don't remit the, you know, the pension? Because some people are like, oh, they're deducting it, but they're not remitting it. What can, you know, employees do?
Yes, so it's actually your right for your company to remit your pensions at the end of every month. And in fact, based on regulations, your employer is supposed to remit your pension 7 days after salaries are paid. There are sanctions when employers don't do this, and in fact they are supposed to pay 2% of that value they are supposed to remit every month if they fail to do that. So it's important that, so what do you do as an employee? You are expected, is your right, engage your employer to say, this has been deducted from my paycheck. It's important that you remit it. And where they are not forthcoming, you can actually write to the commission, which is the National Pension Commission, to lay that complaint, and that employer will be sanctioned. And you can actually do this without being known to have raised that that concern. So you can do it like as a whistleblowing kind of stuff, and then the employer will be taken up by the commission.
Okay. So what about people that work for themselves? You run a business, you're not under someone's employment. How did they take out their own retirement funds to start saving it away?
Fantastic. So today in the pension industry, we have what we call the micro pension plan. Or so this is targeted towards the informal sector. So you agree with me that today our working population, a large percent of that working population comes from the informal space.
Yes.
These are people, these are artisans, these are people who sell in the market, the barbers, the hairdressers. They don't have any form of formal employment. You know, they've been clamoring for how they can, you know, be onboarded on the pension scheme. And thank God that the government listened to it through the National Pension Commission and came up with what we call the micro pension scheme. So today, whether you work for anybody or you work for yourself, you can actually have a pension account. Okay, so all you just need to do is approach your preferred pension company. I work with ARM Pension, so we'll be glad that you contact us.
That's free advertising.
You know, so we can also help you set up that as well. We just open an account for you, and you can make your remittance is a bit different from the formal space.
Okay.
So your remittance can be daily. So I make 1,000 every day. I can decide to do 100 naira per day. You don't have any limit limit as to what you can contribute. It's very convenient for them at that
that makes a
space.
lot of
And
sense.
one other very important good thing about the micro pension plan is that after 3 months of making your initial contribution, you can actually come and withdraw 40% of whatever you have contributed.
Well,
Yeah.
people say, I hear that, but many times some of my friends have tried to come back and withdraw, and they say it takes like a long process, blood and sweat, before they're allowed to even withdraw that money.
Okay, so the industry has evolved over time. Today it takes an average of 5 to 7 working days, to get approval. So all withdrawals go through approval process, and then the commission, which is the National Pension Commission, approves before any PFA makes payment. Okay, so it takes an average of 7 working days from when the process is initiated to when you get approval to when money is paid to client. So it's a bit better at the moment.
Okay. Just one more question before we wrap up. So you give us tips, you share with us tips, but I want to find out from you, because inflation. I've saved, let's say, for example, 4 million. I have 4 million currently in my pensions. I'm thinking that in 10 years down the line, that 4 million is, especially with the naira and how it rises and falls, is not going to be anything. What can I do? Is there a scheme of, do we save in dollars? What do we do, because the naira has, dropped or is devalued every day?
So I think that is a very important question. So it's also important to know that your money is not sleeping with your PFA. Okay. This money are being invested, and investment income accrued into your account on a daily basis. And then if you look at the average return per PFA vis-a-vis inflation over the last 16 years, you will see that most PFA had returned above inflation. Okay, so if you look at inflation in the last 10 to 15 years, average about 10 to 11%, and then you see PFAs who have returned an average of about 14%, 13% in the last 10 to 15 years. So you agree with me that that is quite higher than what we have in terms of inflation. So this PFA invests this fund, generate investment income, and then at retirement, you are expected to assess whatever you have in your balance at that time, which is inclusive of your principal that you have contributed plus the investment income.
Okay, so share with us some quick tips on managing your pension.
So for me, I would say investment, pension, retirement plan. So just a quick one before we wrap up. Retirement planning is you actually say, I want to move from a point A to a point B. Point A is where you are now. Point B is retirement. How do I want to do that? To ensure that certain things don't suffer because I want to achieve certain things. So people take up projects. While they are on that, they are getting broke. It's affecting their health. But when there's a proper planning in place, you are able to properly manage your cash flow. You know what you earn per month. You know where you spend this money. You know how much is kept for savings. So what we preach from the finance angle is that you have a proper plan in place so that while you are saving for retirement, things also don't suffer. Your children don't drop out of school because you say you want to save for retirement. So you just need to have that arrangement in place, have some sort of document that guides you into retirement. One important tips is that remember that there will be a time where you will not be able to work. So once you have that in mind, you start planning towards that time, so that we don't continue this sandwich society system that we have, where parents are dependent on their children. Those children also have children who are dependent on them, so it's just a funny situation we find ourselves. We need to come out from that situation, and to do that, people need to plan for their future so that they don't become burdens to their children. Okay, so I think that will be one of the most important tips I can give today.
All right, thank you very much, Jane. I hope you'll come again if we talk again about this.
I'll be glad to come
topic.
to share whatever I have.
Okay, so that's all we can take on this enlightening session. Hopefully, some of you have now a new mindset shift that would deliberately start walking towards retirement very well. I know that I will. So over to John and Helen. Thank you.